Good.
There was an attack today on Binyamina. Can you put it in context?
You know, I'm here in San Diego. It's always incredible to be back here with a strong and wonderful community here that supports Israel wholeheartedly. But talking about the heart is always heavy when you hear the news such as those coming out of Binyamina today. The attack against the Golani base in northern Israel, killing 4 IDF soldiers, 4 more souls who've given their lives for the state of Israel and for the Jewish people, and dozens of others injured, many of them severely as a result of the attack. It's important to understand that what Israel is facing now is the result of heavy investment coming from the Islamic Republic in the terrorist proxies, both in the north and in the south of Israel. These are drones that are coming from Iran, manufactured by Iran, bought with Iranian money for the sole purpose of injuring innocents in Israel. And what we are facing now is but a shred of what we would have faced had Israel not gone into Lebanon and struck at the very heart of the Iranian proxy Hezbollah. For we all know what they had in mind for Israel and for the Israeli towns and villages on the border. Indeed, Israel has gone into southern Lebanon, and in the course of the last few weeks, we've been exposed to incredible, truly unbelievable, unfathomable amounts of weapons, missiles, jeeps, medical equipment, and other equipment, all ready to go for an assault on the towns and villages of northern Israel. And the mind goes back to October 7th of 2023, and to try and imagine what it might have been like had the awful Hassan Nasrallah ordered his forces to attack Israel from the north on that day. Indeed, there was one commentator who said in Israel that had they done so, we might have faced a reality where the Radwan forces of Hezbollah and the Nukhba forces of Hamas would have shaken hands in Tel Aviv. Truly a frightening thought, Don.
Absolutely. What do you see as the end game for Israel in Lebanon and in Gaza?
Well, the truth is that what we're going through now is an entire change of the Israeli mindset. For the past 30 years, since the signing of the Oslo Accords, Israel has gone on a certain path of a two-state solution, of coping with terror, of trying to think in the framework of peace with the Palestinians. Maybe contain. The word containment has come up a lot. Can we contain Hamas in Gaza? Can we contain Hezbollah up north? And everything changed on October 7th. So you can see Israel changing course completely. And it's always interesting to look at the kind of criticism leveled at Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in trying to describe him as an ultra-right-wing hawk, when the truth is that there is a huge amount of criticism against Benjamin Netanyahu within Israel, against what many Israelis feel like it's not enough of an attack against Hezbollah and against Lebanon and against Tehran and against Hamas. So we're looking at Israel that's much more realistic in its outlook onto the region, that is will less succumb to the what we call in Hebrew the conceptia, the preconceived notions about we know what Palestinians want, including our containment or tolerance to what we're willing to see on the borders, both in the south and up north. And I think that it truly harbors an opportunity, because a strong Israel means a moderate alliance between Israel and the moderate Sunni regimes in the Middle East. It means a stronger America and a stronger American presence in the Middle East. It means a weakening of the Shiite axis and the axis of evil led by Tehran. So if we are to meet the moment, and indeed meeting the moment means the US administration, means the Western powers that will take advantage of Israel's strategic victories in the region and leverage them in the direction where, imagine this, Don, Lebanon will once again become a sovereign state, not under the stranglehold of the Shiite axis, Iran and Hezbollah. When Palestinians, those of them who didn't support or didn't partake in the massacre, might see a future for themselves in Gaza beyond Hamas, that is, a group of thugs that right now stealing food away from them. So we have to think beyond the proxies and into the general order that we wish to see in the Middle East. The Abraham Alliance, the follow-up to the Abraham Accords that we hope to see happening in the region, and a reimagined Lebanon, and a restructured Palestinian entity in the Gaza Strip and elsewhere, under the understanding that if in the past we used to talk about Jerusalem, settlements, refugees as some of the main issues to be discussed, now we start with the issue of education. The Palestinian society has to go through a profound process of de-radicalization. That might take decades, and that's okay, because we are in no rush to neglect our security the way that was done for the past too many years.
And everyone says that there's going to be a retaliation against Iran for the latest missile attack. What form do you hope it will take?
Well, anything that destabilizes a corrupt, dictatorial, and deeply unpopular regime. So any kind of strikes that can be taken into the heart of Iranian Central Command. Because remember, the Iranian, you know what, maybe I shouldn't say Iranian, I should say the Islamic Republic regime has been at war with decent people across the world in the Middle East for decades. It has been immiserating hundreds of millions of people all across the region. You should have seen the celebrations, and you must have seen the celebrations in Syria after Hassan Nasrallah was taken out. And Nasrallah wasn't just the head of Hezbollah, he was a major part of that Iranian, the pro-Islamic Republic axis in the region. Imagine Iran's outreach, not just in Yemen with the Houthis, where millions have been suffering hunger and diseases because of the Iranian regime. Not just Lebanon under the stranglehold of Hezbollah, not just Gaza because of its support for savage Hamas. Go as far as South America, the opium trade, the drug trade of which Hezbollah is making so much money, all meant to export the revolution right here into the United States of America. So we have an opportunity to destabilize a regime that has been very much at war with itself, with its own people, executing, torturing, raping, and imprisoning hundreds of Iranian youth who seek to live life. So if Israel stands tall and strong and retaliates against the heart of this regime, supporting its destabilization, and the West follows through and continues on the same line, then we stand a chance at a major strategic upheaval in the Middle East that will be a beacon of freedom for peoples everywhere. So that's my deep desire, to see that change taking place, and it might take time, and it's okay. Israel has been patient. We've been suffering from Hezbollah for the past year, even before we struck back at its command. We have been strategically victorious so far, even though it's a long battle ahead. I think Israel could do the same against the Islamic Republic's regime.
When you say the heart of Iran, to what do you refer?
Any of its financial infrastructure that the regime relies on, any of its communication networks that it's used to liaise between its different forces, any of its potentially, we're talking about the oil facilities that is at the core of the Iranian economy. Anything that Israel can do to shake up this regime and at the very least achieve deterrence. Deterrence means mind your own business. We don't want to see you not just doing what you do in Iran, but sending your proxies up to the borders with Israel. Because if you remember, one of the most shameful episodes in our history, and there have been too many in the past recent history, were the two tents that were established by the Radwan forces right there on the border with Israel. Israel was deterred from acting against those Hezbollah warriors who were overlooking steps away from our people, from our villages, from our towns, and we've done nothing. I remember a Hezbollah attack against one of the IDF outposts in the region, in which case we had no injuries, but we staged an ambulance so that they think they have achieved some sort of a goal of injuring people so that they're happier. Can you believe the level of depravity that we have reached in sustaining our very own conceptions or misconceptions? That age is over, Don. That age is over.
Shahar, I noticed that when you answered my question, one thing you did not say was nuclear facilities. Take that off the table.
I sure hope not. I know it's intricate and complicated. I know that the state of Israel, if indeed goes in this direction, would require U.S. support. And until we see a determination on the side of the U.S. administration to go with Israel on that path, it's going to be difficult. Is it off the table? I don't think so. And as you've seen with the beep beep, there is more than one way to, as they say, skin a cat. So I would trust Israeli ingenuity in constructing any kind of destabilizing act against the Iranian regime. You look at the level of intelligence penetration you've seen up north with Hezbollah, and you can imagine that when Israel sets its eyes and heart at a certain goal, as it's done with Hezbollah, as it's been doing with Iran, as it has not done with Hamas, we're able to achieve quite significant results, and that's what I'm hoping for.
Final question, because I know that my final question.
Always great to chat, Don.
What do you think about JNF-USA role in Israel?
I think that any organization that brings people together, not just for emotional support, not just for the fight of public opinion, as I've seen with Caravan for Democracy, with students, with professors, but actually sends people on mission on the ground to lend a helping hand, that rolls up his sleeves and actually working hard to make a difference in Israel at this historic time, is a blessed move. I've been to numerous JNF events in the past year. It's been incredible to interact with a Zionist strong community that loves the state of Israel and that seeks for the opportunity to stand up for Israel. It's always a joy to come together, and especially now to come together as we've seen the attacks against Israel and the Jewish community everywhere. We see that as opposed to the past, Dawn, when those attacks used to be dressed up nicely as attacks against the apartheid rule, or let's strive for a two-state solution. Once the scent of Jewish blood was in the air on October 7th, it has become unabashed attack against the very legitimacy and the state of Israel. To that, we have seen an unbelievable response. The Jewish community came together in many ways. The state of Israel came together with Jewish communities all across the world, and we have seen our youth rise up to the challenge. We have seen them stand up, not just here when they stand up for Israel on the college campus quad, when I saw one student standing with a flag of Israel against a lynch mob, pro-Hamas, pro-terror supporters, but also back home, when the same generation that we used to look down at as the screenagers and TikTok generation has immediately donned the IDF uniform and rushed into battle, putting all of us to shame for generations past. So that is my source of hope that I sense also at the JNF events here in San Diego and all across the country. And what more can I say to a sister community to Shahar HaNegev? People who have been there only months before the horrible massacre, people who knew those people impacted personally. As I'm going to say up there, I'm telling you here, I'm indeed about 12,000 kilometers away from Israel, but never felt closer to home.
So my question is, reading the headlines just makes me sick, the absolute bias against us. And I'm just curious, what can we do, both on the big level and on the small individual level, to take back the narrative?
So important to speak up. So important not just to settle for Shabbat dinners where we complain or just spend time on the couch saying, it's terrible what's happening on campuses. Oh, those headlines in the media. First of all, we have the San Diego Jewish World. We have the voice of truth, voice of reason that's going to share everything that's important for all of us to know. But in addition, we have to make our voices heard. That means that if there is an accusation out there that's made against Israel, we should stand up to it. We should counter it, not giving voice to those people, but echoing our truth. We have to make sure also that while we complain, we also say thank you. You know how many people forget to say thank you? Say thank you to your allies. Say thank you to public officials who stand by you. Express your appreciation. It's so important these days to galvanize the positive forces that fight the dark forces. And I just want to say that my sense has always been that the majority is with us. But the problem with the majority is that it's too silent. And the minority is too vocal. But we have to continue to expose them. For instance, why are the masks present in each and every demonstration? Why have they chosen the path of Egyptian mummies and long COVID to share their set of beliefs? If they believe in massacre, if they believe in decapitation of babies, if they believe in putting Jewish babies in the oven, go ahead. I want to see you. I want to get to know you. I want your employer to know who you are. I want your neighbors to know who you are. I want the FBI to know who you are. Be proud, because why otherwise would you hide your face unless you knew that what you stand up for is evil? And we have the ability to expose that evil. And Jews, again, and the Jewish state are the canaries in the mine. They're the ones who call out the deficiencies of society before it reaches the shores of society. And this is why I'm also hopeful that out of this destruction there will come immense renaissance in the state of Israel, within and without. I can see armies of the world marching and standing in line to learn all the lessons that Israel has been learning through blood in the course of the last year. I see the Israeli air defense industries making their own comeback back onto the global stage when President Macron of France refused to have the Israeli companies attend the exhibit, the security exhibit in Paris. Only a few, they will come knocking on our doors, and we will remember.
Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure, Don. Always a
Thank
pleasure.
you very much.
Always a pleasure. Absolutely. Better. We do our best, right?
Right. You guys are very well.
I say what